Welcome to Mindbender. My name's Keith and I'm going to be your host. Throughout this podcast, we're going to look at the unknown. We're going to look at the mysterious. We may even look at some conspiracies. Whether that be time travel, aliens, evolution, the ancient Egyptians, or who knows, maybe the human mind itself. So if this is stuff that you might be interested in, check out the upcoming episodes. Check out our Facebook page, where we're going to remind you of new episodes. But not only that, we're going to have polls. We're going to have questions. Because I want to get you, as an audience, involved to help everyone think outside the box. So again, my name's Keith, and welcome to Mindbender. How's it going, my Mindbender audience? So, welcome to the very first episode of Mindbender. First, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule and listening. I want to invite you to go ahead and check out the Facebook page and continue to follow us. So, I'm also going to, obviously I've got Spotify. I want to take up a poll. And this is going to be the very first poll. And this is just kind of seeing how you guys want to listen to the podcast. Obviously, I'm going to continue with Spotify. However, I believe that I'm going to go ahead and do video segment on YouTube. So that's going to be the first poll. So check out the Facebook page. Check out, see if you can find the poll. It should be the very front and center. And just let me know what you want. Do you prefer Spotify the best? Do you believe YouTube is the best option? Or would you prefer both? Or essentially, it doesn't really matter. So, but let's go ahead and get into this first episode. This first episode is an easy episode, okay? It's not going to be very deep. It's not going to be the mind-blowing questions that we're going to have later on. All I want to do is simply provoke your mind. Not just your mind, but other people's minds. Because these are going to be questions you're going to want to ask your coworkers, your buddies, your friends, heck, even family. It just get their mind a little twisted. These can be used as icebreakers or however you want to use them, just simple conversation starters like we're going to do today. Now, let's go ahead and jump right in. Question number 1. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Yes, you heard me right. Question number 1 is going to be, is a hot dog a sandwich? I told you, these are going to be fun. If you break it down and you look at the basic idea of a sandwich, you need a protein, some type of condiment, depending on, user's preference, and maybe a vegetable or something to go along with. So technically, also the bread. God forbid I forget the bread. So technically, if you break it down like that, a hot dog would be considered a sandwich. Maybe an open-faced sandwich because, it's not slice of bread, meat, veggies, condiment, slice of bread. So just an idea. In my personal opinion, yes, a hot dog would technically be considered a sandwich. However, it is in a category of its own, just like a hamburger. You're not going to a fast food restaurant asking for a sandwich. You're not going to a sit-down restaurant asking for a sandwich. You're asking for a hamburger, just like you're asking for a hot dog. Now, this is where it's going to get fun. So, a bit of information that I had learned this week is there is a National Hot Dog and Sausage Association. Yes, that is a thing. Their debate and their argument is the fact that it is in a category of its own. Because you're not going to want to sit at a ballpark. Or you're not going to want to sit at the football game and hear someone yelling, "Sandwich, come get your sandwich." Who wants a sandwich? It's very vague. You want to hear that hot dog, "We got your hot dogs, come get your hot dogs." Right? So if you want to kind of look at it that way, yes, okay, it's its own category. Okay, now, with that being said, when you break it down by definition, a hot dog is a sandwich. However, yes, It is in its own cat, just like a hamburger. A hamburger is a sandwich. A hot dog is a sandwich by definition. So, that's just a small question for you. Everyone's going to have their own opinion on it, and it is the way it is. But, again, just here to provoke your mind. Let's go ahead and move on to question number 2. Everyone has asked themselves this question at some point. It is a very broad question. It is a very, but why is it this way kind of question. So the question is, why is the American language so backwards? We park on a driveway. We drive on a parkway, right? Why? Why do we do this? Why is it so backwards? And I think it boils down to this. We're America. We want to be different. That's our goal. Our goal is to be different than the rest of the world. But in a circumstance where it's that simple, why? Why? It just doesn't make sense. You know, breakfast. Why is it called breakfast? We have dinner, we have lunch. Okay, cool. Break, fast is the word broken down. Okay. Now, the argument would be because we've got to stop real quick in our morning rush to get something to eat. Get that most important meal of the day taken care of real quick so that way we've got the energy to go. And we got to get our day done fast. So we're breaking from our morning routine to get the rest of our day done fast. Break, fast, breakfast. But it still leaves me with this question. Why is the American language so backwards? It is every day that we deal with something and say something, it just doesn't sound right. Hey, when you get here, park in the driveway. Hey, honey, where you at? Oh, I just hit the parkway. Why? Why can't we be normal? I want to park on a parkway. I want to drive on a driveway. So why do we have to be so different? Now, let's go ahead and get this next question taken care of, because this is going to be one of those questions that it became a very big thing on social media. Became a very big question. The video that I'm getting this question from had millions upon millions of views. I'm sure at some point you probably thought this was the dumbest question in the world. However, I'm going to go ahead and ask this because my friends and family hate when I have this argument. Are you wet when you get in or you get out of water? Most people would say, hey, this is a really dumb question. Obviously, when you get in the water, that's when you become wet. But that's not entirely true. Because as soon as you get in that water, not only is your body releasing air bubbles and the air that's trapped underneath your skin, inside your pores and everything else, but now your body is adapting to said water. Your body has started absorbing water in some parts of your body. In other parts of your body, it is releasing water. So your body is adapting to the fact that you are inside a body of water. That is why our hands get pruny. Our feet get pruny. I don't know if you know this, and this may be a very random piece of info for you. The reason the human body does that, the reason the human body gets pruny fingers and pruny feet, is to allow for better grip. Our feet get pruny so that way we can grip on the rocks and we can grip the sand better. And our hands get pruny so that way we can grab onto things better. We're not going to have as likelihood of it slipping out of our hand, whether you're working or you're fishing or you're doing whatever you need to do. So my argument is the fact that you're not entirely wet. You are just adapting. Now, do I understand from the other point of view? Yes. You are dry when you get in. As soon as your feet or your toes hit that water, you are wet. I understand that argument. I do. However, let's take a hot, humid day. Humidity is water in the air, right? So technically, you are wet 100% of your day, simply because you are surrounded by humidity. Well, on a hot summer day like today, where it's 100% humidity, you're constantly wet when you're outside. honestly, even when you're in your own home. So if you jump into a pool on this hot summer's humid day, you're already wet, right? Technically. So you want to be jumping into a pool and getting wet. You're already wet. So just an idea. Now, I know someone listening right now is at the edge of their seat. They're clenching their fists. They're grinding their teeth. They're just, this question, for some weird reason, gets under so many people's skin. It has caused fights. It has caused arguments. It is no longer a debate. It is now you're stinking wrong, I'm stinking right, you're dumb, I'm smart. So why is this one little question so provoking? Yes, that is the idea of today's podcast. So, unclench your fists, calm down, come back to reality with me, and realize that you're not wet until you get out of the water. I'm just kidding. So, I want that question to kind of be on your mind this week. I want you to think about it. I also want you to think about the hot dog question. I also want you to think about the backwards American language, because we don't speak English. Here in America, we speak American. We have adapted our own kind of language. But at the same time, I want to get to my favorite question of the day. This is a question that was brought on to me recently. I was scrolling social media and I had come across this question. And it is a question that it bugs me because it's a simple question. It's a simple question, just like the hot dog question. Is a hot dog a sandwich? So here's the question: is cereal? Yes, I said cereal. Lucky Charms and milk. Is cereal soup? S-O-U-P. Soup. Okay, good. We've had time to kind of go, what? Now, when we think of soup, we think of tomato soup. We think of potato soup. We think of chicken noodle soup. However, we're looking at soups that are hot. Most of us believe soup is hot, right? So in France, in other countries, they have cold soup, or chilled soup, I should say. And they're very popular, very, very popular. And they're so popular, you don't think about it. All right, yes, I understand when we think popularity, we think everybody's talking about this. However, I think it is an American society, we're so used to soup being hot that we fail to look at cold soup or chilled soup. One of the most popular chilled soup is gazpacho. Gazpacho is made with beans. It's made with a cold broth. So why? Why is it that we only think of hot soup? If we have a vast number of soups or gazpachos, because gazpacho is also, you can make it with cucumber, you can make a tomato, you can make a lobster bisque as a gazpacho or chip. So why can cereal not be attached? If you look at cereal, you have a grain, you have a milk. Every once in a while, you'll add some fruit. So realistically, if you look at it that way, it would be considered a soup. However, if we break this down and we look at what would be the official definition of soup, we are looking at a liquid dish typically made from meat, fish, vegetable, stock, and water. That's simple. Okay? So, by definition, no, cereal would not be soup. Okay, so we can draw the line there, right? But this is mind. This is a podcast all about thinking outside the box. So that's what we're going to do. Let's simply break this question down. Is cereal soup? First off, soup, hands down, my favorite food. It can be 110 outside and I'm still going to eat them. And you give me a bowl of loaded potato soup, bam, let's go. So let's look at potato soup, for example. You have potatoes, you have milk, cheese, bacon, salt, pepper, just beautiful loaded potato soup. But what was the two key ingredients there? Potatoes and milk and water, because you're going to want to thin it out a little bit, maybe. So, potatoes. Technically, a grain is categorized as a starch. Cheerios. Technically, a grain, okay? Loaded potato soup. Second ingredient, milk. Cheerios. Second ingredient, milk. Loaded potato soup. You're going to add cheese, bacon, salt, pepper, different seasonings, okay? Cereal. Cheerios. Cheerios, milk. Throw some fruit in there. Strawberry, blueberry. Now you've got an extra ingredient. You're going to add a little bit of sugar on top, a little bit of that seasoning just to make it oh so perfect. Well, now you just made soup, technically. So how many are you grinding your teeth now? When you think about it like that and you actually break it down, cereal would technically be a soup. Now, we're all going to have our own opinions on this, and I welcome your opinions. So, let's go ahead and do this. This week, I want you to do one thing for me. Two things for me, actually. One, I want you to ask a coworker, are you wet before you get, or after you get in the water, or when you get in the water, okay? Start a conversation with somebody. Don't forget to mention the podcast. Second thing I need you to do, get on Facebook, because I'm going to post the YouTube poll, and then I'm going to post another poll. Is cereal soup? I want your opinion, and I want you to provide that. Let's go ahead and get you guys involved quickly. So, today we covered just 5 simple questions to provoke the mind a little bit. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Why is the American language so backwards? Are you wet when you get in the water or when you get out? Question number 5, cereal is soup. Question number 4 was cereal is soup. I stand corrected because I can't read my own writing. So, I was going to have a 5th question. However, I think I'm going to save that for a podcast episode. And I believe it's going to be our next podcast. I believe it's going to be our next episode. So, now the question is, what is our next episode? Our next episode is going to be nursery rhymes. Yeah, that's what I said. Nursery rhymes. I'll let you kind of stir on that till next week. And go ahead and check out the Facebook page. Drop us a like on this episode. Go ahead and get the poll taken care of for me. And don't forget to share the podcast. So, that is going to be today's episode. Yes, very short episode, but it's just an episode to introduce thinking outside the box. So that's going to be it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And never forget, continue to think outside the box. And this is your first episode of Mindbender.